Before we begin, thank you very much to Tank942 for joining the Patreon campaign. 942 is a lot of tanks. What did you do with the 941 before you? You know what? I probably don't need to know. It's usually classified. Don't need to know. But thank you very much for the contribution. Thank you very much for helping to keep the channel going and the daily content coming. And speaking of, so like I said, I wanted to wait a little bit, because whenever leaks happen, it is usually a slow trickle. I'm not even sure if it is done yet, but if I don't start talking about this stuff, it becomes old news. So let's actually go into a little bit of a roundup of a whole bunch of the leaks that have been dropping this week outside of the studio series stuff that we've already discussed. So as you can see from just the front image here, we've got quite a mixed. A lot of this is Legacy United Wave 5. So we're actually showing like a little bit of the tail end of the current line. Kind of cool. But there's also going to be a lot of package refreshes in here. We're going to get a little bit into the Mayhem set that is going to be the next Amazon capsule. And a little bit of late studio series additions. So we're going to begin with the package refreshes again. And the first one is Ramjet. So just like having Dirge along with, as a singular release in Legacy, we are getting the other half of the rare the rare Amazon 2-pack. Ramjet looking fine. Like, keep in mind, there's no photos of any of these. I'm just using stock examples. This is the toy we're going to get. Though I wouldn't be surprised if they do the exact same upgrade they did with Dirge and make sure that the wings are now molded rather than painted. So that's about the only guess of change that's going to be. Otherwise, it's going to look exactly like the one you got from Amazon if you were lucky enough to get your hands on that 2-pack. So unless you're just really hung up on painted wings, no real reason to buy it again. But it's great to be able to offer something that many people had a hard time getting. That's actually good on Hasbro to make sure that gets out to collectors again. Speaking of, Cosmos is going to be released in United. So this is going to make a lot of people happy. Hasbro dropped the ball when it came to putting Cosmos in the Velocitron line. Number one, didn't make a lot of sense. It's race themed. However, it was also one per box. It's one per case on a brand new mold and as a legacy character. So kind of shocking. Kind of shocking they were that short-sighted. But he will be available as part of Wave 5 of United. Great call on Hasbro's part. No surprise that it's happening. My only concern here is that it's going to be a last wave, which means getting it in stores is probably going to be difficult. You might want to have to turn to online pre-order in order to make sure you get your hands on this one. Just in case, because odds are, yeah, if you do see it in a store, it's probably still going to be high demand. It's probably still going to sell out quickly. And if you see it on, you see it online up for pre-order somewhere like Entertainment Earth, where you can go visit in the link below and get 10% off your orders that are in stock. You could do that. You could do that, but make sure you get it in early just in case, because this one might vanish again. Likewise, Galaxy Shuttle. I was kind of shocked. Like, when something based on a character this obscure gets a figure, it's already surprising to me. But I was even more surprised to find out that it was going to get a reissue in United. Now it's a mainline toy, which is weird, especially because it's a mainline leader that's super obscure. Typically that doesn't handle well at retail, but obviously a lot of people were after that figure. So no surprise that Hasbro would actually try to get it out there for everybody. And again, late run United, so potentially limited in range, potentially limited in stock. So it might still end up being just like stupidly rare and hard to get. Hard to tell right now, but at least there's going to be more out there. At least it's going to get out again. And then another one that was there and gone as far as being available at retail, Tarn. I just had someone tell me how much Tarn is going for in box, and it's disgusting. It's disgusting to think about how expensive Tarn suddenly got. So good on Hasbro for running this one again. And I need to like get in touch with some friends of mine like who are looking at like literally dropping like, you know, 3 digits, you know, 150 odds dollars to get a Tarn. And like, ease, calm down. Here's Tarn, just coming out at the end of the year. Just wait 9 months. You'll be able to just buy a Tarn again. So cool on Hasbro. Cool on Hasbro. They're making the right choices here. All right. Let's take a look at the Mayhem line. So this is loosely based on the Mayhem attack squad from the Marvel Comics run. It's the Decepticons' answer to the Wreckers. Hasbro is deciding to release these in 2 packs on Amazon, so similar to how they did the Wreckers line. And we're only getting 3 boxes this time, 2 deluxe 2-packs and 1 with a Voyager. And we've heard about that one before, but we might as well run through all of it now that we know the entire capsule line. So the first 2-pack is Deluxe Insecticons, which starts with Chop Shop. Now, I actually really like Chop Shop. I like him better than Shrapnel, mostly just because, you know, different. He's a little bit different. But no, it's a cool idea. So obviously he's going to be a heavy retool of Shrapnel, new chest, new pincers, but you know, you're not going to make a brand new Stag Beetle mold when you've already got a Stag Beetle in existence. So similar to Ransack, it's just going to be a retool of a current Insecticon, which is fine. It's absolutely fine. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting a look at that because it could look good. Now, they did that with the Legends Shrapnel, turning him into Chop Shop, and I thought it actually looked pretty good. I thought it was actually a pretty good use, and this time they probably had that remold in mind from the start, so wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me if this one came out really, really nice. We're also getting Barrage. This one is fun again because, again, you can tell it's going to be a retool Bombshell. No shock there whatsoever. Again, you know, a Rhino Beetle. Not too much of a leap in logic. This one might be a little bit different to do because this one's like the shell does not become the lower legs on Barrage. But we do know that they do make exceptions a lot of times in this engineering. Ransack did not really follow exactly how the original Ransack went color distribution-wise. So it's probably going to work within the mold. Yeah, I'm kind of expecting dark green lower legs, which wouldn't look too bad. It'd still look fine, I think. Yeah, again, don't expect too much. I do think it's cool that they're getting more of those deluxe Insecticons out, so Ransack isn't just a one-off. It is going to be annoying to complete your deluxe Insecticons, though, because, one, you have to go between a Target exclusive multi-pack and now a 2-pack from Amazon, but also, we don't know where Venom is. Hasbro is all about completing the sets. I'm not entirely sure how they release Venom, because it's the one that does not have an equivalent in the standard Insecticons. We might be looking at a brand new mold. We might be looking at crazy retooling of some existing mold in order to make it work. Wouldn't put it past Hasbro, but we will see. The next 2-pack is weird. It's quite weird. So for starters, it's Windsweeper. This is a Trigger Con. This is like from the age of like, okay, Transformers is barely surviving. Let's just throw gimmicks at the wall and see what works. And Trigger Cons were a thing they came up with. So basically, gigantic chrome weapons flipped out from these characters. In his case, arms. Now, just looking at how the robot is laid out, and just looking at the overall design, it's a Needle Nose retool. I don't think there's any mystery that it's going to be a retool of Needle Nose at this point. The only question here is how do they handle the whole Trigger Con aspect? Do they actually give him 2 brand new big weapons to clip on in 5mm port on? They're not going to flip out because that'd destroy the arm articulation. I'm hoping they go that route and they don't just like cover the 2 Target Masters in silver and call it a day. I'm hoping for just 2 different replacement, big cannon accessories. I think that's the route to go. I think that's what they're going to end up doing, because just to randomly give him a couple of Target Masters would be weird. No, that one's pretty easy. That one's pretty obvious. There's nothing terribly weird about that outside of, Windsweeper is a character who did literally nothing in this franchise, and now it's getting a new exclusive toy. But I guess that's how low we are on Generation 1 toys that have not gotten redos yet, that we are resorting to Windsweeper. Here's the weird one. Knockout is in the listing. Now, Generation 1 did have a character named Knockout, but he was half of one of those combining Micromasters. So most likely not going to be them. So that just kind of like leaves you scratching your head. What are they doing with Knockout? Why Knockout? How Knockout? I think that's the better question. How is a Knockout happening? Because we just got one in Legacy. It's not a great one because it's a retool of Jazz, but that Jazz mold is still going to be busy. Like, it's getting a packaging refresh. So I can't imagine them actually digging it out for another retooling. So now I'm just kind of like sitting and wondering, like, is it going to be closer to like Prime? Are they going to like switch it out for a figure with a flat chest that they can design into the character? Weird one. Like, that's the one where we literally have no idea. We have no basis for exactly which mold that's going to be, or even which iteration of Knockout, because there are more than one. It's just there's one prevalent one, so we're betting it's him. We just don't know how it's going to get delivered is all. So that's the weird 2-pack. The last one is the one we've already heard about. We discussed it in a previous rumor video. So Ruckus is getting a brand new toy. No shock here that it's going to be a retool of Beachcomber. There's nothing official about that. Nothing's been stated. There's no proof of that, but look at him. What else are you going to do? What else are you going to do? Like, it's straight up. It just looks like it's going to be Beachcomber's mold. So no real shock there. No real surprise. And that's not a bad mold. Simple, but not a bad mold. So it would not be a bad call to just retool it into Ruckus. Not too difficult. But Bludgeon again. And it is Voyager Bludgeon. And again, they just did one as a Tarn retool. I'm not entirely sure what you do outside of maybe more Marvel colors and maybe a closed mouth head. No, this one is the weird one. Again, this is another weird one in this multi-pack. Because Bludgeon's a top character, okay? So Bludgeon's a popular, like, fandom character. So no surprise he would be included. And he is part of previous Mayhem attack squad, so makes sense to include him as, like, the big character of the batch. Which is it gonna, like, what are you gonna do differently? What on earth are you going to do differently? I'm legitimately trying to figure it out in my head, and nothing is really clicking. Okay, so we got a lot to discuss. We got a lot to wait on and think about. A lot of speculation that we can do with that set of figures. There is a whole new set of figures on the way, however. Well, I say that. Again, a lot of this is United Wave 5, tail end of the line. And when I always say Wave 5, usually that's based on the Deluxe Wave. Of course, leaders don't get as many toys as the Deluxe class, but still all late run stuff. So we're going to go through it. We're going to go through the ones that are announced, listed, leaked. And it starts with a core class Dinobot. That one's interesting. So we've seen core class Raptors before. We have Slash for the Dinobots, for instance. So we know they can make a Raptor at that size, but Dinobot requires some particular design work that I definitely feel the core class is not going to capture perfectly. It might make for a nice little desktop sized, Dinobot, but don't expect total show accuracy. Don't expect it to be completely like logical in how it's designed. It's just going to look like a very simple Dinobot that it's easy enough to sit on your desk and just be a nice little fiddle figure. Don't expect anything crazy, right? We've gotten Dinobots that do impossible things. Let's be happy with those, and we'll just have this little tiny one just sitting by. Maybe his sword will actually be the proper color. Stop making them pink. So that one's fun to see. And you'll notice, like, core is like, I don't know, like, it feels like core is, like, kind of drying up a little bit, because, like, we've only got one listing through all of this that's core class. You know, so, and I feel like there's plenty of characters for it, even if all you're doing is just running through, like, legacy characters at small, like, pocket scale size. Still weird. Still kind of weird. Here's one that we knew was happening, because how could it not happen? An Armada Wheeljack is actually in the listings. They already did the retooling work, not only for the head, but the chest of Sideswipe in order to actually make this figure happen in shattered glass form. So there really wasn't any way they weren't going to do Armada Wheeljack out of the Sideswipe mold again. Knowing what Hasbro's doing these days with their releases, expect cartoon accuracy, which is closer to Rampage here, the Japanese version. And then potentially a toy accurate one later on, though, to be honest, that mold's been around a long time. Keep in mind, that was a War for Cybertron's Siege mold. And it has survived through the entirety of 2 trilogies now. That's 6 years this toy has been in production. I will be shocked if this thing is not mold degraded by now. Like, I hope when they did the shattered glass, they, like, did completely new tooling from, like, the mother mold and, like, refreshed it completely. Because I get the feeling there's even more they could do with it if they really wanted to. So, yeah. I'm expecting this to be the last Sideswipe remold. It has to be, right? It has to be at this point. Let's see. Who else is in who else is in the listing? We've got I'm sorry. Like, I'm double checking a few things just to make sure that I got it all out, because it's a lot and I want to make sure I got these listings right. Okay, so deluxe class size, and this is what's throwing me off about this. Sure Shot. Okay. A year 4 Target Master. All right, so that's an area that has gotten very little coverage, very little attention. You know, we do have a Crosshairs, but it was a very poorly done Crosshairs in my opinion, because it's retooled from an Ironhide and doesn't really capture the, like, futuristic car he's supposed to be. But this one's going to be interesting as well. I mean, it's dune buggy, but it's definitely not one that can be redone from Beachcomber, so they're going to have to figure out either a brand new mold or figure out here's the thing, like, the character itself is so obscure. Like, I want to say, like, even in Rebirth, I don't remember him doing anything. I don't remember him doing anything in Rebirth. I don't even remember him appearing outside of the intro. You know, which would put him in the line with, like, Flywheels as far as cartoon coverage. So this one could be anything. Like, I don't see a mold that would work for him without without extreme retooling. I really feel like it would be a brand new figure. I feel like it would have to be. You know, I don't see another way around it. But it's just a weird one to do a new figure out of. But, you know, what else are you going to do? Okay, I'm getting hung up on this. Let's talk a couple more repaints that are going to be on the way. So, you know how all these capsule lines have been throwing in a few Generation 2 Stunticons here and there? You know, Toxitron had Dead End, Velocitron had Shadow Strip. Still a missed opportunity. No, Legacy United is just going to do Breakdown. Like, they're just straight up going to do G2 Breakdown at retail. Like, the most legendary, because this is the one that you could get if you were at the right BotCon. This was the one you could actually obtain and own. Yeah, so even if you bought one secondhand afterwards, it's still, like, crazy valuable. So congratulations. This one is going to be fun. Again, late wave makes me concerned. It might make this one just as hard to come by as any of the previous ones. We will see. We will see. Wait and see. But it's kind of cool. Kind of cool that the original BotCon exclusive character is actually now up to the point where he can be a retail release. And I'm glad they're not sneaking him in. I feel like they could have snuck him into Mayhem, or, you know, whatever the Star Seeker line is going to be. Opted not to do that. So thank you very much, Hasbro. At least he's trying to get out there. And ironically, if they don't re-release the other ones, kind of ironic that this ends up being the most common out of the 5 again. Let's look at the leader class, and this one kind of surprised me. An Overcharge is listed. So Overcharge is going back to Diaclone Color Blitzwing. Unfortunately, one of the ones I didn't cover in my Diaclone video, because I totally forgot that he had a Diaclone repaint. Or that he was originally from Diaclone. Point being, Overcharge is Blitzwing done in real-world colors. Off-white for the Jet, so he looks very Leader 1 in Jet mode. And then in the tank mode, not like normal Army green. Yeah, Overcharge is essentially like a mass-produced Transformer from the Quints, so for anyone who's just willing to buy them. So he ends up on just about any faction, because he's not like an autonomous robot. The backstory's weird. The backstory's super weird. I'm actually surprised this is happening, given that Blitzwing ended up being a shelf warmer because they did a package refresh of him. And now we're actually going to get a repaint of that one. Now, it makes sense, because there's only one thing you can really repaint Blitzwing into, you know, unless you're manic and do like the red and brown one that the reissue did. Weird, still. But it's kind of cool, because it is a neat color scheme. It's a neat idea to turn Blitzwing into more realistic coloring for his vehicle modes. Looking forward to it. It's probably also like one of the more expensive troop builders at $55 a pop, so that's fun. Now, it's getting late in the video, but we have 2 more to do, and these are leftover Studio Series listings that got announced later on. And judging by the discourse around it, I think that was the smart idea for the news posters at TFW. 86 Galvatron. Now, it's leader class again, which makes everyone wonder if it's just going to be another rerun of the Kingdom figure. We don't know right now. It's not listed as a package refresh, but also this was released as recently as Legacy. And it's kind of weird to think that they would be doing another Galvatron of all characters relatively, like, only like 2 years out from the last time the character was released. And honestly, if you could get the Legacy version that didn't have the dumb battle damage and had the correct shoulders, that's actually a really decent Galvatron. So outside of, you know, like maybe more movie accurate tints to its colors and, you know, a few design changes here and there, but that just seems like it'd take basic retooling to do. I genuinely don't know what you would do with a new Galvatron. I don't know why we would need one outside of, like, if yours is yellowed. Point being, there's nothing with speculation about this one, because it really just could be anything. We have no idea what this one's actually going to end up being. We just know it's going to be in the 86 line, so it's G1 Galvatron, but right now, actually seems like a new mold, which is weird. And then there was the big one. Then there was the big one that got a lot of people fired up. An 86 Megatron. And this makes total sense with 86 Optimus Prime being in the listings right now. So not a terrible surprise, right? So as far as like just the overall design, like the overall idea of it goes, like it's going to be a tank. Don't get fired up like they're finally going to do him as a gun. Like Hasbro stated multiple times, it's impossible. No matter what you see in the toy shelf, no matter what you see at Walmart, I get this every single time this Megatron toys come up. If Hasbro says they can't do it, they're not going to do it, and it can't be done. Okay? And let's leave it at that. Because don't you think they would want to make the most money ever and do a new gun Megatron? Because that's what would happen. And right now, Hasbro needs a moneymaker. So let's just admit that, yeah, he's never going to be a gun again. Let's just leave it at that. It's going to be a tank. The question is it just going to be a cleaner tank than the Earthrise one? And it has to be, right? It has to be a nicer tank than that. You know, something that works into his body type more. Something that doesn't leave him with such a gigantic backpack of dumb parts. It's entirely possible. I mean, that Siege Megatron was okay, but it felt like they really could have designed it better. You know, so his giant dumb backpack wasn't there. You know, and then the Earthrise was just kind of a leftover on that. Plenty of ways to go on this one. Plenty of ways to go around this one. There's so much room for improvement on previous tank Megatrons. just really curious, because it's the 86 Megatron who was shown in gun mode on screen. What do you do? What do you do? Outside of here's what's going to happen. This is a new mold. They aren't just going to run the Earthrise one again. Don't worry about that. What you're going to end up getting, is a gun mode Megatron accessory packed in with this, that all of your Decepticons and your 86 line or your Generations line can hold. That's probably what it's going to come down to, just to split the difference. Beyond that, oh, this one could be interesting. So there you go. That is our complete up-to-date listings, as are all of the rumors and all of the computer listings to kind of let us know what's going on and what's about to come out. Keep it civil in the comments section, because there's a couple in here that I know are going to fire people up. Just remember, it's a toy line. We're here to have fun. Feel free to speculate, but don't start any kind of ruckus. I didn't mean to make that pun, because we talked about Ruckus today. Now I'm ashamed of myself. I need to end this video. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.